So we're at Warm Audio headquarters in Austin, Texas, and we're about to check out the Warm Studios. And I'm going to meet Bryce Young, the founder and CEO of the company, and he's going to show me around. Come with me. Hey Bryce.
How are you?
Good to see you, man. So we're going to take a look at your studio today. Let's see what you got for us.
Great. Well, you're in the sort of lobby entry area. There's a couch.
Yep.
There's a sign. No, I'm just kidding. but this is sort of the separation between Studio A, which is here, and then Studio B. So you want to check out Studio B first?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go on in. Yeah, so this studio is our small B studio. Great for cutting vocals. We actually had drums in here the other day, so you can, overdub and do things like that in here. But the construction still, there was, save no expense. We did it all correctly. Right outside this wall is the parking lot, right? So the wall's gotta be right. We don't want some loud car or anything coming through, and it's always silent in here. As I'll show you in some of the other rooms, every room's on its own concrete slab. Mm-hmm. So you don't have, sometimes there'll be a wood floor, and then when you kick it, you can kind of hear air underneath, or it sounds like a drum. This is all concrete on rubber, and each room is its own concrete slab. So that room is a different concrete slab from this room. So yeah, we've got, some hard surfaces, some soft surfaces, as you can see. So you've got some absorbing material in between these, but also some hard, because if you have too much absorbent material, it sounds really muffled. And so these are a brand from Europe named Art Novian. And then these are just, we had a carpenter come and cut some wood, and then there's, these air gaps with some additional absorbent material behind them. All of the walls and ceilings that have this material, this is whisper walls. This is kind of the top tier, best of the best. The best way to describe it is if you need to suit up the walls like they're fitting in a a little tight suit, you can customize whisper wall to anything. And why you've got these different angles and things to break up sound, but this blue thing here is where all the AC is coming in, so the AC ducts. And the air handlers, to keep the noise away, they're all really far away. So none of them are over the studio. So the air handlers for this room, I think, are about 30 feet away over a different office room.
You have everything, not only acoustically treated, but basically designed for acoustics. And did you figure all that out yourself, or did you have someone like an architect for that kind of stuff come in here and say, this wall needs to be, this angle, and then...
I absolutely did not do it. I tried to. I thought I knew how, and then I was lucky enough to run into Alex from Auto Systems Works, and he said, hey, I'm not trying to get you to hire me necessarily, but your plans have a lot of issues with them, and here's why. So when I originally was going to design this, I'm like, I'll make really thick walls, I'll put air gaps in, but I'm really glad we had him, because the isolation is just incredible from room to room. You don't hear... especially in the big room, which we'll go into later, you don't hear anything. I mean, these windows here aren't designed to be perfectly, to perfectly isolate all sound, but they do quite a great job.
Yeah.
No noise from the outside, as we discussed, and so forth. So yeah, you've got the outside of the building goes along here into this room. We can walk on in here. And then you've got your A room, which is right through here. Well, this wall between this room and the A room, we obviously don't want, if somebody's cranking those huge ATC speakers, we don't want tons of bass coming in. So I think the wall is about 6 or 8 feet deep from here to that other room.
Do you have that happen regularly, that like both studios are occupied and blasting stuff at the same time?
It does happen, yeah. So it's nice to know you don't really have to worry about it.
Absolutely,
yeah. Yeah, so we've got ATC monitors from the UK here. I think these are the 150s, if I remember correctly. We've got the AWS 948 console here, so it is a 48 in, 48 out, even though it's the small 24 channel footprint. Lynx Aurora converters down there, and we are running the Trinnov system in here. So the Trinnov system EQs the speakers to the room, which is really nice, gets rid of phase issues and time alignment issues and all of that.
Ah, I see.
So, yeah. Got the Mac computer, and the amps for the speakers are in this machine room here. And
just for,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but just for our viewers that, you know, have home studios, what kind of computer are you running in here? Like what kind of specs are you guys?
It's one of the rack-mountable Macs, so it's the MacBook, or I guess not a MacBook, but it's the Mac Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, let me show it to you. And I'm not, here we go,
Oh.
this guy.
Ah, the cheese grater, I see.
There you go, yeah.
Well, that's really cool. That's also really, like, you can see, like, all the routing and stuff.
Yeah, and this is the Live Mix headphone system. So I love this headphone system because each headphone station just connects with a power over Ethernet Ethernet cable.
Yep.
And it's cool too. So if you know how to use the system, you can create a mix and you can just send the mix to someone else.
Yep.
Just be like, boop, and then they can pull it up on theirs. Great system. Yeah, not much more to see in the closet.
How do you, I see you have a lot of outboard gear, obviously warm audio stuff over here. How did you choose what you wanted to have in here?
Well, we only had so much space, so I wanted to make sure we had a little bit of each of our things. We've got EQ, we've got dynamics, we've got preamps. I just wanted to have, you know, enough that if somebody wanted to run cables back out or stems back out of the DAW, they could run through some additional equipment, and then hopefully enough pre's to hit all of the warm pre's on the way in for whatever you could track. You can only fit so much in that room. Yeah. So I'd say at most you might have a drummer in there. Let's say there's 16 mics on the drums. I think we've got, you know, you got 8 preamps here, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16. Yes, you got plenty of preamps, even more down there. So just wanted to have enough to be able to track whatever you can fit in here. So.
I see. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So this place is neat, but I've heard you have another studio in here.
Yeah, so the Studio A room that I was mentioning through this wall is pretty special. You want to head in?
Let's check it out.
All right.
So here we are, Studio A, control room. Tell me about this place.
What do you think?
Well, it looks amazing. I've heard it before. I know you guys aren't able to hear it, but like, let me tell you, it sounded amazing. And yeah, I just want to know, like, how did you even come up with the whole, like, what did you want in here? Like, how did you decide to make it the way it is?
So the first thing I wanted it to be big.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I actually wanted it to be bigger than this. And so when we first floor planned it out, it was quite massive. That back wall went back even further. But then as the acoustic construction kind of came in, we realized, okay, we need to make these walls thicker and shrink it in. So you're looking at about 26 feet across in both directions from the center of the room. Yeah. So pretty big room. You know, the glass is special. Originally on the plans, we were going to have a 10-foot piece of glass on both sides. But then the designer was like, hey, why don't you do a 10-foot and then a 12-foot in the middle and then a 14-foot so it expands out. Yep. So you can see at a nice angle in either direction. And those are 3/4 inch thick glass as well. So we're talking very, very heavy. You had to have a huge crew of people to bring those in and mount those in. And what's interesting is each piece of glass is on a different layer of the foundation too. So that room in there is on its own piece of concrete on rubber. This room's on its own piece of concrete and rubber. And obviously those two rooms are adjoining, but that's why you have those soft pad things in between the glasses. Those are actually the non-rigid connections between the two rooms. And then there's a little sort of separator wall in between as well. Right. And a lot of people, when I tell them about the slabs and on rubber, they're like, yeah, sure, Bryce. You know, they think I'm making it all up. So I like to show them under here, which is one of our access places. And I'll pull some of these out. You can see some of the cabling and things in the floor. However, but look at this. So these are, it's Regapol is the brand. It's not just any old rubber. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, this is the slab. It's on top, and this is the foundational slab. So we have a warehouse here, right? Mm-hmm. The warehouse is sitting on this foundational slab. This one is a completely separate slab. So nothing, you know, no forklifts out there moving are going to rumble this room.
Oh yeah, I mean that I didn't even consider that. Like that's a whole different thing you have to keep in mind if you're planning to do this next to a warehouse.
Well, and we have an upstairs. So there's another floor above this. Oh. So how do we keep that separate? Well, that floor is a concrete slab. And it's poured on a plate or a metal plate to hold the concrete, and then there's some poles that come down. Well, the poles that hold up that second floor, none of them are going into this slab. They're cutting holes through this slab. They're going down and then into the foundational slab. So everything is completely isolated. And so that's how this room can get so quiet. Why does that matter? Well, if you want to hear how that kick drum sounds, you want to tweak your EQ and make sure the mic is set right. You don't want to be hearing bass through the walls, right? Through the windows. And I've been in a lot of studios where, I mean, everybody does their best to isolate, and sometimes it may not isolate perfectly.
Yeah.
This studio, I'm just thrilled at how well it isolates. So we've got an impromptu band over there, my wife on the drums, Aubrey, and then a fellow from your firm over there playing guitar. It's very loud. Actually, to show how loud it is, I'm going to walk out there. You can stay here. Only follow me. Oh, I thought it was loud. There we go. Pretty loud. All right, now let's head back in here. Close this first door. Get rid of a lot of the sound. But then we go in here and close the second door. Maybe think you hear something if you convince your mind you're hearing something.
It is, I mean, you guys hear it, right? Or you don't hear it, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's like
it's completely silent. It's like, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it is.
You'd think you at least hear bass rumble or something.
No, you don't hear a thing. It's actually kind of a surreal experience looking at someone so close to me banging on the drums, or playing the cranked amp, and I don't hear anything. It's like,
yeah. And obviously the construction and the separated slabs and all that is a massive part. These doors have to be good too. So these actually have a drop down. I mean, they're acoustically rated, but they also have a drop down thing that comes down and closes the air gap. Have you seen those before? So you press this here, so when the door closes, that presses in, and then it drops something to close that last little gap of air. So it's not just this,
that is pretty genius as well. Like, it's something you don't even notice, but that's really cool.
Yeah, all those little things make a difference, right?
From planning this thing, I wonder how long did it take to figure out just the acoustic aspect of it and like the isolation aspect of it. Like, that must have been like a long process of like just.
Yeah, hiring Auto Systems Works was huge. They came in and not only designed the plans, but made sure that the subcontractors that were constructing were doing it right. And they found errors, right? Like, hey guys, you just connected these two rooms. You can't do it. And the contractors are thinking, oh, well, it's more stable that way. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, we need it all to be separate. Yeah. And same thing with like air handlers. So, we've got the AC, or the heat and the cooling, going around this blue section, and those handlers are just really, really far away. Also, the ducts are insulated on the inside and the outside of the duct too. So you don't even hear the sound of the air rushing through the duct because it's hitting some padding along the way. And there was one duct out in the live room when we built. So we're completely finished with building, and I'm walking around seeing if I can hear any noise. And I could hear a little bit of air noise in that room. And they got up in there and looked in and go, oh, we forgot to insulate this duct. And then they went in, insulated it, and it went away. It was very minor. You could barely hear it, but I was listening for perfection, of course.
But so like, it's pretty safe to say that you had an eye on every single like minute detail in here to make it like perfect.
Yeah, I wanted it to feel like a spaceship. I wanted it to feel like you had gear everywhere. I wanted to feel like that if you wanted 24 channels of British style mic pre, you could get it, or American style mic pre. I just wanted to have access to a lot of our gear, but also not have it, oh, well, if I want to turn this knob, I have to go way back there, and it's in the corner of the room. It's all at your fingertips.
And this is something that I also really find really special about this place, that it's that kind of fantasy come to life in reality, because you're so often in situations with using outboard gear, and a lot of the time using outboard gear, like, it's tedious, you know, because it's either, as you said, it's like all the way in the corner. You only have 2 channels. You have to really compromise a lot of the time. And here you just you have it all. I mean, look at all this.
Yep. Yeah, it's nice having so many options, having the ability to use so many of the same type of thing if you want to use it. I mean, same thing with microphones too, right? We make U87 style microphones, U47 style microphones. If somebody wants to put a U47 on every mic on every drum on the kit,
Yeah.
here you go. We'll put 47s on everything. We'll run everything through British. If you want everything to hit an LA2A, we've got it. And so it's just kind of a fantasy. We even put a tie line, we still haven't used it, out to the warehouse so that we could create a reverb room with the warehouse. We tried to think of every little thing. There's as I'll show you in a minute, there's a loft in the next room. We even put a patch panel up there.
Wow.
So if you want to put a room mic up there, or if you just want to get up there and
That's
solo and feel really
smart,
cool
though.
up on the loft.
Yeah. Well, would you say that, you know, that this studio is inherently like very different from your regular commercial studio because you guys are a gear manufacturer? Like that, I would figure that played a huge role in the design of everything you did, you know?
I would
Just
say
the possibilities.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. From the design, definitely. Like most places aren't going to fit this much outboard gear in. From how we run it, I think that's different too, because we're not just running it to make $1. Like, oh, we rented out the studio for this much time. We want it to be a great experience. So if we have an idea of a way to lay something out or change something and it costs some money, we're going to do it, because it's about people coming in here and enjoying the experience with the warm audio gear.
That's really special. And also this just the sound of this room. Again, you guys sadly aren't going to hear it, but it's absolutely. It might actually be like the best control room I've ever heard. I mean, it sounds amazing. And like I guess that would have been like not just the whole, okay, let's get it isolated, let's get all the errors out, but also like let's make this sound as perfect as we can. That must have been its own process, you know, entirely.
Yeah, I mean, well, first the ATC speakers went in, and they're soffit mounted, which helps a lot with them getting a really great bass response. And the room is great. So in general, you put incredible speakers, soffit mounted, and the room being great, you're going to get a great response. Well, we took it even the next level from there. We implemented the Trinnov system. That's going to measure any differences from when you're in the sweet spot. Like, are the frequencies from the right speaker getting to my ear this many milliseconds before that speaker? And it's going to time align that and correct it. We've also got subwoofers down below, and those subwoofers have a perfect crossover to the speaker. So you can listen to the ATC 200s without the subs, but the moment you engage the subs, it's going to create the crossover in the system. What's great is those same subs can work with these and be time aligned to the mix position. So you'd think, well, why would I want to use subs on a crossover with these speakers and they're like 6 feet apart? Sub frequencies typically hit a little bit later. Well, it's time aligned. So when you're listening, it's like, oh my goodness, the subwoofers sound like they're coming out of these speakers. The only other thing I think I'd say about the room is it sounds good wherever you're in it. Of course, being in the mix position is the best place, but in some studios, if you're in the back, maybe sitting on the couch, you hear way too much bass. Yeah. And then you might be sitting back here telling the mix engineer, hey, turn down the bass. Yeah. But I feel like the frequency response is pretty flat within the room. And so that's one thing I think that was a pleasant surprise. Even the guy that designed the room came in and he was like, wow, dude, you can have people in the back actually hearing what the mix sounds like and give their feedback. And so very, very pleased with how it all turned out. There's a patch panel over here that's designed for a tape machine, and I'm actually I'm working on refurbishing a tape machine right now that's going to go there. I'll show you that later when we do the tour across the headquarters. That would have been like another question of mine, is because I've seen it, that like if you guys are like digital only, or if you're working with tape at all, or about to be.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Of course, I'm a big vinyl guy too, so we got a record player back there. That's just me. I'm nerdy with record players. Wherever there's great speakers, I
would have thought that like you're the kind of guy to be nerdy with analog.
Yeah. Definitely. Always trying different phono preamps and different cartridges. I think it's fun. Yeah, but I think you've seen it. You want to see the live room?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right, let's go check it out.
So here we are, the live room. I guess my first question is, how did you come up with this, with this ceiling and this, design of the room itself?
Well, there's a couple things. So I love the 70s era. So I just love wood.
Yeah.
I wanted to have wood everywhere, and I want it to be brown, like old fashioned. So I definitely wanted wood. But this whole tall ceiling and this kind of look originally was the thought of a cathedral. It was like, I want a cathedral look, long, and you've got pillars. As we got more into the design, it started to kind of look more of like you could say a barn look.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mix between a barn and a cathedral. But I definitely knew I wanted really tall ceilings. You're looking at 26 feet to the pitch in the center. Convert that to meters. I don't have a calculator on me. But 26 feet up. I wanted the brick on the wall. This is real brick. It's not fake. And I was worried that acoustically it might be too vibrant. And the acoustic engineer came in and measured everything and was like, no, you can definitely keep it. And I'm really glad we did. I just love the look of the brick. So it's interesting. It's a mix between cathedral, barn, and warehouse with the brick. It's like, I don't know what it is, Got more Art Novian diffusers and absorbers up here on those walls to help with slapback echo.
Yep.
Obviously have these hanging diffusers as well, which help out a lot and tame the room. And then also when you put bodies in here, you put people in here that are playing and more amps and instruments, it tames it down even further.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got gobos over there. We can wrap around anything. But if you mic up a kit, a lot of people would think that in a room this big, it's going to sound too live.
Yeah.
It'll just sound too loud. If you go cardioid miking, not at all. You just hear a little bit of the room in the background, great reverb.
Yeah, that's would have been my first thought. That like it sounds really alive, but like I guess once you get recording, then I mean we've heard it before. It's pretty incredible, like what sound you get out of this room. And it's also while you're playing, you can already tell, oh, this is gonna sound good.
It inspires too. It's a sound.
It does.
Exciting. It makes you, get excited to play. There was a band that came in, the very first band to use the studio space, and they recorded drums for one song. And they're a pretty famous band. And they just needed to track these drums it was like finishing up the album.
Oh yeah.
And the engineer said to me, he goes, hey, the way that the reverb is hitting, it's like it's timed. It's like the perfect amount of decay.
Yeah.
He's like, we got so lucky. He's like, I was worried the room would be too live and there'd be these weird, slapback issues. And he's like, it's perfect. Then that engineer came in later, again, with a different band. He's like, it's timed perfect again. Every song is timed. So, the room is just very special. I don't want to say we got lucky, because I think the engineering that went into it made it great. But like a lot of studios I've been in, they're kind of like, yeah, it's okay, but there's an issue with that, an issue with that. I think we did get lucky in that we're just thrilled that everything seems to work perfect.
So you said you had a band in here, rather famous. Is it only like, say, people that like are affiliated with your brand or whatever come in here, or is it like open for everyone?
It's open for everyone, and I think it's hard when you have a brand and have a studio. People just assume it's off limits.
Yeah.
It's like, no, give us a call. You can book the studio space. We are very aggressive with our rates. It's not free, but if you compare our pricing to other studios that have much less of a live room and much less available, it's very competitive, just because it's not about making every dollar. It's about utilizing the space. I wanted music within these walls. We have this cool company, we have gear, we're testing gear all day. Well, I want music here.
Yeah.
And so the busier this studio can be, the happier we are, of course.
I see. Yeah, it's one of the worst things is a studio that isn't being used, basically. So how many people? How often is it used? Like around just a regular week? How many times is it being?
There are some weeks where it's busy every day.
Oh, really?
There are some weeks where it's busy a few days a week, but it's sort of an ebbs and flows thing. I'm sure other studio owners or studio managers have experienced that too. But just last week, it was busy every single day. We even had an orchestra in here. I should have counted how many, but they packed just tons of people in here. And, you know, we're one of the only rooms in town that can accommodate that. So,
do you have any dedicated studio employees as well?
Yep, we've got a studio manager, and then we also have engineers that work on contract with us. So depending on your project, which engineer works best, we'll find a fit.
So you could like, you know, as a band, you could just come here and have someone engineer. You don't have to take care of that. You can just.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
And assistant engineer. So if you really like running the DAW and Pro Tools, but you just want somebody that knows the room,
okay,
we can do an assistant. It's really inexpensive.
Oh, that's also really cool. That's also, I think, something that a lot of studios aren't like as easygoing with. Basically, you know.
Yeah. So over here we've got piano and then a B3. Do you play keys at all?
Well, I try to.
Okay. Really? Okay.
A little sometimes.
If you were to look at this piano, what would you guess it is?
Well,
I mean, you can, I guess, look at the label on it, but
yeah,
a lot of people think it's a Yamaha.
I would have thought it's a Yamaha most
and it is, but they think it's a C7, which is kind of the standard studio 7-foot piano that they make. However, this is the Desclavier series, so it was a collaboration with Bosendorfer, and so it's a different sounding 7-foot piano. Yeah. Most people that try it say, oh wow, it has more mid-range, it sounds richer. But one other thing that's really special about it is this button down here plays itself.
Wow.
And it's got a library of tracks. It also can take any MIDI file and play it.
Really? Any MIDI file?
Any MIDI file. And you can also have it record a MIDI file as well. So I could be playing, you could be recording MIDI and then have it immediately play back.
Wow.
So you could try different microphones. Like here, I'm gonna play, let's play it back. Let's try different microphones. What sounds best?
How did you come up with that idea, or like how did that come to be? Because I've never seen.
I didn't invent it.
No. I mean to include this in here because I don't think I've seen that before. Like.
Yeah, I mean it really just when I was looking over the Yamaha pianos, seeing that this one sounded different, and I actually got a recommendation from Ben Folds. Yeah. So Ben Folds contacted us, and he was using our microphones on some things, and he said, you got to hear this piano that they have, and he recommended it. But a piano that plays itself, that does MIDI files, I never really would have thought of that, but it's perfect for a studio environment. Absolutely.
I mean, it would be a blessing for someone like me that isn't good at like playing, but I could come up with some, I could come up with something in the DAW, and then I would have to have someone here to play it nicely, but in this case I don't.
Yeah. It's really crazy too to see like, we'll put microphones on it and then have somebody in there on the computer and they just play their MIDI file and it's just playing it and we're recording it. It's, So you could live in, let's say, New York City in a tiny apartment with a keyboard. You could record yourself MIDI, send us the file, and then we record it in this room for you. And you don't even have to show up.
Wow. And does that happen? Has that happened already? Like someone
that exact scenario? No. Usually they'll show up and we'll do different things with it. But no, I think it's a great scenario though, right?
I feel like that's like a business opportunity of its own. It's like, wow.
Yeah, so this is fun and it's nice. We originally put in a like 1913 or 1910 over 100-year-old piano in here. Needed a lot of work. It was a Steinway, and it's really nice to have a piano that's just beautiful and perfect and brand new and sounds great. So
I get that. Yeah, shall we quickly go through the other keys?
I mean this is a B3. Got a Leslie cabinet. It's got a 1958 model. In pretty good shape, got it out of Nashville, and boy, these just keep going up in price. Like B3s used to be pretty reasonable, and now they're very expensive. But lots of vacuum tubes in the amp here in the Leslie. There's also lots of vacuum tubes inside of here as well. But I love this thing. It just sounds great. It's, spinning speaker, everything. It all works. A couple local guys can service it whenever we have issues.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice as well.
Yeah, you got a Fender Rhodes here. And this one is in really good shape. A lot of people see it and they think, oh, that must be a new one.
Yeah.
But we just found one that was in really good shape. Guitars on the walls, we've got some PRS, we've got some Gibson, we've also got Nash, and just have loads of guitars. A lot of people assume that, oh, you have some fancy guitars on the wall, but they're likely not tuned, they're likely not adjusted properly, and that's actually not the case. So we restring them multiple times a year, and we just had a guy actually 2 weeks ago came in and set every single guitar up again, just double checked it. And one of your staff actually was playing one and saying, this is like the best Fender.
I played that Strat before a little bit, and like it's amazing. It feels great. And these guitars are just always in here. They always come with the studio whenever you book.
If you book, you got access to the guitars, you got access to the amps. Matchless, we got several matchless. We got Bad Cat, Two Rock, a lot of different amp choices.
That's also like awesome, because it's not just that it's like amps in here, but it's like these kinds of amps that you like, for example, the Two Rock, you don't see like on a daily basis. And just the fact that, you can, I've had it happen a lot that like we were looking at studios to book for our second album with my band, and all the places we looked at barely had any stuff that we actually wanted to use,
Sure.
There's always some stuff there. But usually it's like, yeah, but we'll bring our own stuff. And if I came in here, there's a lot of like great gear that, I'd be happy to use and just leave my stuff like back at home.
Well, and how often does that happen? You go to record, you bring your amp, because that's just what you use.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, well, you don't, Mr. Studio, you don't really have much better, so I'll just use my amp. And so people end up using their guitar and use their amp. I mean, you can get some incredible tone out of this choice of guitars and these amps.
Yeah.
You should never have an issue getting a great tone.
That's like another, you basically get rid of like another risk factor, is like maybe the musician's gear won't hold up. Mm-hmm. We got gear that will hold up, so like that's something you can basically guarantee.
Yeah, I got a mic locker, several mic lockers over here with warm audio mics in them. We do have some other brand mics, so we don't make every type of mic out there, but a lot of it is warm audio. And so got these here. This is actually where a lot of the mics are. But yeah, if you ever said, hey, I want to do my drums with all C12 style mics warm, and there's only, looks like we've got 5 down there. I want a different one, or I want more. We could go get more. So that's the great thing about having the warehouse here.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah. It's incredible.
Yep. And so got some nice cabinets. A lot of people ask us where we got these cabinets. They're like, these cabinets are so cool.
I was about
where
to
did
ask,
you get them?
Because I've never seen them, like this, and
I
also
think-
with the light inside and everything.
So the light we added, there's this remote. You can just turn it on and off, which is pretty cool, and it turns them all on. But I don't remember where I got them. Got them during the pandemic online, and they were shipped to us. But,
okay.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And these ISO booths, these are not just like, grandma's sliding door behind the house kind of thing. These are like legit acoustically designed sliding doors. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think they drop the decibel level 40 dB at like 80 hertz, which usually when you get into the low subfrequencies, it's not dropping it a whole lot.
Yeah.
And these are very, very good. And they open in different sections. So this one's a 3-section. I think we've got a 3-section over there. But yeah, these are very nice, and glad we went for the real thing.
Yeah.
More Art Novian on the walls in here. Some classic wood look. Video switching equipment here. So if you do want to do a live stream, we've got the ability to connect a bunch of cameras with SDI connections on the walls.
Oh, that's really cool as well.
I'll come back to the switching, and you can live stream, obviously send all that feed to a computer if you're recording for editing later, etc. You also can flip on the screen and put a camera on yourself, and then put a camera on the engineer in the other room, or on, let's say, a drummer in that room, and you can all see each other while you're playing.
That's really cool too. Yeah, I feel like that's overlooked a lot of the time, because just like a couple months ago I was recording in the studio and I just couldn't see the people I was talking to, and it's kind of throwing you off because you don't know, like, okay, are they like mad with me right now? Is it like, you know, what's going on? Because you can't really tell by not
Create some
only hearing.
anxiety, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't want
it
that.
does.
Yeah.
It does, though. It is a factor, I think. So, what would you say is this? Like, are these ISO booths used all the time?
All
or?
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the band. Some people say, no, I'm here because I want the sound of the live room. I want to put everybody in the live room.
Yeah.
But even in that scenario, if you're playing a loud guitar amp, it's good to have that separate.
Yes.
Put the guitar amp in here, maybe put the Leslie cabinet in here, be able to close the door and isolate that.
So you do have like live situations where it's actually, you know, everything's pretty much being used, but also some things are separated and at the same time if you record a live band.
Yep. Yeah, and I think having the drums, I always recommend it out in the live room. Drums just sounded great out there. But sometimes people throw them in here too. It fits. So
why not?
Yeah.
So you've had this place for 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
And how long, I've been wondering this the whole time, how long did it take from, you know, pretty much the idea to the finished facility we see right now?
It took a long time. I mean, I think we started construction on the whole headquarters in 2019. Then the pandemic broke out, slowed things down. Then we moved in the headquarters and started operating the company in January of 2021. But the studio was not available for a year and a half, till a year and a half after that. So it was mid-2022. So if you go from 19 to 20, 19 to 20, 21, 22 and a half, you're looking at like 3.5 years. Part of that is there were just after the fact things like the whisper wall, the hanging of the diffusers, the cables and all the floor, the patch bay connections.
I mean,
took a while.
Yeah, it's actually shorter than I expected, to be honest, because 3.5 years is like for this kind of place. It's incredible, and I just want to thank you so much for letting us see it and taking us all through it. And my last question is, I gotta wonder, why? Why did you like?
It's funny that you you bring that up because there was this video we shot right when the studio opened, and somebody, it was a question asked like, why?
Yeah,
and I was like, I built this studio because I wanted this studio, and that's like what I said. And thinking back, that is sort of true. I mean, I got into music and I just loved it, and then I loved the recording aspect of it because I'm an okay guitarist. I'm not amazing. I'm not like you. And so I got into recording other people and getting them good sounds and tones. And then that's how Warm Audio started. And so having access to a place like this has always been my dream. And so it was like, look, if I'm going to build a headquarters from the ground up, I got to put a studio in there. And I think originally it was like, oh, it'll be small and nice and it'll do the job. And then it's like, no, let's go big or go home. Everything's bigger in Texas. I don't know if you've heard that before. And so we just went full on, and I'm really glad we did. I think it allows us to experiment more with the gear in a proper environment. It lets locals or people that are traveling in town that use the studio to hear the gear, different environment, and I think, or in a really great environment. I think, if anything, having this space just honestly just solidifies how confident we are in the gear, because you're going to hear if the gear is bad. And there are people that come in here and they're like, oh, you have a lot of Warm Audio stuff. I'm like, yeah, use it. And they're just like, this sounds unbelievable. Like, so it's a real testament to, I think, the types of people that are using our gear. Yes, it is at-home musicians that want good gear, but it's also the pros, the real high pro level people are using the gear now, and it belongs in spaces like this.
I think that closes it out perfectly. Again, thank you so much for having us here. And thank you guys for watching. And also, we got a warehouse tour coming up. So that's going to be a separate video. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. And yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
And
thanks for coming by.
See you guys soon.